This conference will now be recorded.
So we discussed about multiple features in object-oriented programming, like encapsulation we discussed, then inheritance we discussed. Now we are entering to polymorphism. This is also one of the feature in object-oriented programming. You may have one question, Amar. I'm entering to data analytics, and I'm doing some kind of analysis. Do you think that I require all these things? Means when you are working with object-oriented programming, definitely all these concepts, one of the other concept definitely will touch. All these features are part of your object-oriented programming. Generally, when you are using a Python for a web technology, similar like Java, then you will come across all these concepts. But when you are entering to data analytics, hardly you may find. So it's a topic to topic and requirement to requirement. And it is my responsibility to explain, so I'm explaining it. Whether this concept will come to you or it may not come to you, it's not in my hand. So polymorphism is nothing but ability to take more than one form. So when you want to take multiple forms together, then the concept we call as polymorphism. So poly means many, morphism means forms or functionalities or logics. When you can able to, when you can your method or functionalities you want to take it together, that concept we call as a polymorphism. Example: deposit. When you say deposit in a bank, there are different type of possibilities you have. You can deposit through bank transfer or cash or through ATM or through DD or through check or etc etc. So all these are different methods to deposit the money. So all these methods are functionalities you're going to take it together for one logic. So that's called polymorphism. So here I give an example like deposit, and within the deposit method or a logic, you're going to decide whether it's going to be by cash or a DD or a check. For a cash, you have subsequent different logic. For a DD, you have subsequent different logic, and for a check, you have a different logic. So now you have three different logics or many different logics within a class or a method called deposit. So this kind of concept we call as a polymorphism. Definition of the polymorphism is nothing but the concept of defining multiple functionalities or the logics to perform an operation is known as polymorphism. Type of polymorphism. There are two types we have. One is a dynamic, the second is a static. So static polymorphism or a compile time polymorphism is nothing but method overloading, but method overloading is not supporting by Python. It is supporting by different programming language, but not in Python. So I'm going to be skip that one. But dynamic polymorphism or a runtime polymorphism is available in Python, nothing but method overloading, method overriding. So overloading is nothing but static, overriding is nothing but dynamic. So method overloading. So you can see here the nothing but static polymorphism, defining two or more methods within the same name, but with a different number of arguments or a type of arguments. Then we call it as method overloading. So define add ABC and you are writing some logic, and define add X and Y, you're writing some logic, and define add Y, you're writing some logic. So what is happening is one method is overriding by other method, and the second method is overriding by third method. So this is called method overloading. Are you getting my point?
Yes, Sama.
Now you can see here an example. Class A, I'm defining my own class as classes are part of your object-oriented programming we are using. So def add addition, I want to do it. Self x comma star y. Do you remember? Are able to recollect why I'm using star? Don't read the next one, the red color. Star. Why we are using star? So from the second letter onwards, any number of letters will be referred to y only as a tuple to hold multiple values together. For an example, I want to enter multiple entries, but my system is allowing X and Y values. And my company says that Y has no limitation. It can hold either single value or multiple values. Those scenario, I can use star. If I'm prefixing with star for any value, any variable, then that particular variable can hold multiple values in a form of tuple. So X comma Y. So I can store two values or more than two values. X can hold one value, Y can hold either single or multiple values in the form of tuple. Now, if X double equal to integer, then result is 0. If X double equal to string, then result is null or nothing but blank. For P in Y, I'm just using for loop to retrieve the data. Result equal to result plus P. So the value whatever I have in P, it should be added to P. Now print result. So the values are going to be displayed. Now I'm creating my own object A1 equal to A. Now A1 A1 dot add. Add is nothing but a method which I created under class. So in bracket int. So my x is a int. The int is the string which is stored in x value, x variable. Now 10, 20, 30. So there are three different values are storing in a y as a tuple. Are you getting my point? It's storing as a tuple. So when you perform this method, now system is going to int, so result is going to be 0 initially. Then because it's an integer, result is going to be 0. So the variable result is a 0. 0 plus p. P is nothing but first value will be 10. So 0 plus 10 is going to be 10. Then the 10 will be assigned back to result. Again, the for loop will be continue for 20 and 30. So next, when you're doing the second iteration, the result value is 10. 10 plus p value is 20. So 30. Total together 30. 30 will be stored back to result. Again, it will be the for loop will be repeated. Then in the third iteration, 30 plus 30, p value will be 30 and result is 30. So 30 plus 30, 60 will be stored back to result and it will be print. Hope you're clear what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Sama.
Now, in the second method, a1 dot add str. I just type str, nothing but string operation I want to do. And I have two different variables, Amarnath and Paritala. So when I have Amarnath and Paritala, the first if loop is failed because it's not an integer. So it's going to the second if loop and result is stored as a null. When the result is stored as a null, the system is going to do for loop. So first it will take pickup and store it in null and assign back to result. In the second iteration, Paritala will be assigned to your null. So when you're doing any kind of addition plus sign for a string, it will be concatenation. So you can see in the right hand side the blue color, when you perform the method first time with an integer, it was showing the value of 60. In the second time when you're doing it with a string for Amarnath Paritala, it performed the concatenation and showing together Amarnath Paritala. Any questions? How it is performing?
No, Amar.
Now, is it a polymorphism? Means no, it's not a polymorphism. The reason is here I'm not doing overloading or overriding. Both I'm not performing. I just created multiple methods and based on the logic I'm performing. So here there is no functionality of overloading or overriding. Nothing but polymorphism I'm not doing. You can see here I just given a comments. Here there is no method overloading or polymorphism because here no multiple methods are there. Single method performing that. So in 1980s, if I want to deposit the money, there is only one option, cash deposit. So it is something like this, only one method. But nowadays in 2020s, if I want to deposit a cash, I have multiple options. So here the only one method is performing multiple tasks, but in the method overloading, we define multiple methods. We not performed there, we did not perform multiple methods, just we created one method and we are performing all the things. Clear, right? So method overriding. Overloading means that one. Overriding means what? The concept of defining method with the same name and the same number of parameters. Overriding. Same name and same number of parameters in a both super and subclasses is known as method overriding. I am performing, I have multiple tasks or multiple methods, and in my super class or a super method, either a class or method, same number of parameters supposed to be there in a both super and subclasses. Then we call it as overriding. Always derived class method overrides the base class method. So the concept is when you are creating any method, the derived class methods always override the superior class, nothing but mother class, base class. So class X define M1, print from the base class. Now class Y of X, nothing but my X is a mother class and Y is a child class. So df M1. So same name I'm using, same method name, self, print from the derived class. Now the number of parameters in both are same, not a different. Sorry. So same number of methods and same number of parameters has to be there to perform overriding. So y1 dot y of y1 dot m1. Here subclass method is called as over subclass method is called or executed because superior method is overridden. To execute the superclass method also create a superclass object. Now if you observe here, I create an object for y class. So y dot m1 I used, nothing but y1 dot m1 I used. That is the reason the object is created for a class. So the y class method is taken a superiority and it got executed. But when I want to execute the method which is available in mother class, then I need to create an object for the x class. So x1 equal to x and x1 dot m1. You're going to get the method is executed for class x also, nothing but mother class also. So method overriding is seen only in inheritance, not anywhere else. Hope you are clear what I'm trying to say. Method overriding. If there is no inheritance, that means there is no overriding of one method to other method or one class to other class. Any questions? Amini arguing?
No, ma.
Now this is I maintain in error. That is the reason it's available in red color. So you can see here I given a comments just for showing purpose. So can I consider this one as overriding? Means no, you cannot consider. The reason is you can see I highlighted for x class I have one parameter, for y class I don't have any parameter. So this scenario we cannot consider this is a overriding concept. And second thing is if you're trying to execute also, system will show an error. So we will get an error because the method overriding happens only when the number of parameters are matching in child class and mother class both. 1 second please. I'm back. So here an example for overriding once again. So class RBI, one of the best example, class RBI. Now, if, as per RBI norms, every bank, either it may be private bank or government, non-private bank like ICICI or HDFC, they're supposed to maintain a minimum balance of some amount. So the overriding is nothing but the RBI decided there should be a minimum balance of some number, but they have some leverage. The private banks can increase the minimum balance to some other number. So here the overriding concept comes. So class RBI, the class name is RBI I created, x equal to 10. So there is a static variable 10. Define minimum balance. Minimum balance. I created one method called minimum balance. Minimum balance equal to 0. Print minimum balance. So when you say RBI, the minimum balance always 0. But when I come into HDFC, but HDFC norms, as per the, since it's a private bank and they want to maintain a different number, not a zero balance account, it's supposed to be minimum balance of 10,000 or 1,000, and they want to take the properties of RBI. So I'm doing the inheritance here. So class HDFC in bracket RBI. So the RBI class, what are the properties I have, the features will be copied to your HDFC also. So now since it's copied, the minimum balance comes as a 0 only. Correct? Are you agreeing with that? So when it's coming as 0, but my company is saying that I don't want 0 as a minimum balance. Every customer should supposed to maintain 1,000. So the method is same. Again, I'm defining the same method with the same name, df minimum balance in a bracket self. Minimum balance I'm maintaining as 0. Sorry, 100,000. So the minimum balance what you created for RBI will be override by a new value called 1,000. So when you say print HDFC minimum balance and the minimum balance variable, the system will be show as 1,000, not as a 0. Similarly, when I come into ICICI Bank, ICICI also following the RBI rules, but they are extending the minimum balance as 2,000. So I'm defining the same method with the same name, but on the same variable for minimum balance, but I'm maintaining the number, the value as 2,000. So my child class has 2,000. My main class RBI has a 0. So my child class will take superiority. So it will be considered 2,000. And when I coming to SBI, SBI doesn't have any problem. Since that is a government bank, they want to follow as RBI norms only. So class x equal to 10. I just created one value called 10. Pass. When I use pass, there is no further logic. I'm just skipping the class. Here SBI does not override. SBI follow the RBI rules. That's all. Here SBI will execute superclass method logic only. I'm not overriding the minimum balance, or I'm not creating any other method. Since I'm not creating any method like a def minimum balance, I'm just using a pass. So when I use a pass, system will take the features of the RBI and it will be continued. Now I'm creating HDFC Bank object. So H1 equal to HDFC. H1 equal to HDFC. So the object is created. Now I'm checking HDFC minimum balance. You can see HDFC minimum balance is coming as 1,000. So the minimum balance 0 of the RBI is override by 1,000 for HDFC. Now for ICICI Bank, I created one object. I1 dot minimum balance. System is showing ICICI minimum balance as 2,000. So because it was overridden with the same DEF name, nothing but method name, and the same variable, and number of parameters are same. When I come into SBI minimum balance, it shows as 0 only because SBI is following RBI norms. They are not changing any functionality or any other features. Now when you say print RBI.x, it is a static variable. RBI shows 10. Print ICICI.x. ICICI x value is 100. So it got overwrite and 100 showed. And SBI.x, it shows us 10. The number whatever you have. It says that when you do the inheritance, it's not only a method with the same name and number of parameters, even a static variable and non-static variable values will be changed and overwrite. Is it clear? Overriding concept.
Yes, sir.
Method overriding. So far what you've seen is nothing but class to class overriding. Can I do method overriding? Yes, we can do. So overriding the object class. While developing a web application, generally use it, but not in data analytics. And I did not work on this method overriding because I've never worked on web analytics. I used to do work for data science and data analytics only. So while developing a web application, most of the classes are predefined classes. So we define a user defined class which extend the predefined classes and override the predefined classes. So when you want to perform the predefined classes with some other user developments, then you can do the inheritance and add your logic. That way you can able to complete your development. It's not meaning that you need to change the existing logic or change the existing objects. So class object name define underscore underscore hash underscore underscore something. You created your logic. So hash code address is created. Here it is. Here it has a code, and to print the hash code of the value or nothing but address you're trying to print. Now class int, a new class is created. You created one logic for that. So you have an object and you are creating a same object. You're creating a new class with the same method and you're doing the inheritance of the previous class called object. Overriding the constructors. Can I do the constructor overriding means? Yes. So class X constructors are nothing but underscore underscore init underscore underscore. So print from constructor of X class Y of X. So print df in underscore underscore init underscore underscore. So now if you observe here, the class Y of X. So Y is the subclass or a child class which got inheritance from the superior class of X, and the constructor is going to be executed. Now in case your company or your requirement demands to execute the constructor which is available in X, then you have to create an object for X, class X. Then only you can able to execute your constructor which is available in X, or else it will not be executed. So constructors can be overwrite. Now you can see here another example, class X, and I have one constructor and I'm passing two values A and B, and I am assigning two non-static variable like self.x and self.y, and I'm printing the values. And I'm creating another class by inheritance of X, and I'm just doing print constructor of y. That's all, nothing else from the constructor of y. User friendly message. Now I'm creating an object. And I'm passing two values 10, 20. Will I get an error or not? You tell me. Since it got inherited, inheritance is happened. So when I say y2 equal to y of 10, 20, y has the futures of x. Will it show error or will it execute and show the result? X and y value. Giri and Yamini.
It will show the error.
It will show the error because the number of when you're coming to y of x, y of 10, 20, you can see I'm not passing any. Let me point it. You can see here I'm not passing any parameters as local variables. So system is going to show an error. Though your x has some parameters and x might be inherited to y, but y class will take a superiority, so it will show an error. So if you want to pass 10 and 20, just pass x, create another object for the x class and x of 10, 20, then it will be accepted. So this will be show an error and this will be show error. Only this will accepted and this is accepted. Hope you're clear what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir.
So the same thing I mentioned here. Just multiple examples I'm trying to give so that you will get an idea. So these are multiple examples, same, no difference. X value I've just entered, and user friendly message I've followed. See, I'm just mentioning it's a class from the X. Similarly, from the Y, it's class from the Y, and I passed Y value, non-static variable, and I created an object for the Y, and I'm trying to print Y value and X value. But when I'm trying to get the Y value, X value, system will show that it cannot be printed. Why? Because that is a non-static variable. You can see right hand side, Y object has no attribute X. That is non-static variable. So you will not get the inheritance of the non-static variable. You will get inheritance of your static variables, but not the non-static variables. So that is the reason you are getting error. Now the problem here is I want to execute the constructor or a method which is available in mother class but not in the child class. So far whatever I explained you is the common one, which is the superior, that one is executing. But my intention is I don't want to execute the constructor which is there in Y. I want to execute the constructor which is available in X. Is it possible? Means yes, that is available by using a super. The statement used to call the super class method or a constructor through the subclass or the constructor. So class A, define your constructor or a method and write your logic. Class B of A, so second class you are creating, and B is extended by A, nothing but inheritance is happened, and you're creating another constructor with the same name, and you return your logic. But when you're writing your constructor, you can see here I just passed one more parameter, super open and close bracket dot underscore underscore init open and close bracket. So when I write this one, it is going to be execute the constructor which is available in class A or superior class or a mother class. So if I'm not writing this one, it just executes only the B class constructor. If I write this one, it will execute the first class A constructor followed by class B constructor. Clear? Any questions?
Yes,
So both will be executed, class A and class B both. So you can see here, super open and close bracket. I just pass this parameter dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore open and close. Since I passed this one, system is going to be execute this constructor which is available in super class, and then only followed by other logic whatever you have in the constructor will be executed in a subclass. So first it will go to class X init constructor, it will be executed 10 20 what the logic whatever you have, everything will be executed. Then it come back to self.y, then it will be print your Y value. So you can see right hand side the same thing is happened. So since I executed class super class functionality, so non-static variable also available in our class Y, it's executed. Now my question to you, when you're practicing, what if I have multiple classes? So class Y in bracket X class comma Y class, sorry, Z class comma A class comma B class, 4 constructors I have, 4 classes I have, and the 4 classes got extended by your Y class. Now when you use super function, which class it is going to be take, whether X class, Z class, or A class, or B class, which one will be executed, which constructor system will take? Are you getting my point? Right now I just taken one constructor as a child class, another class as a mother class. Now I have 4 mother classes, A, B, C, D, and class Y of A comma B comma C comma D. Now when you use super open and close bracket dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore open and close bracket, this scenario, which class will take a which class constructor will be executed? Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
X.
So right now only X is there, but In a future, if you have A, B, C, D, A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, 4 classes you have, 4 mother classes. So just like this, let me write down. So in place of X, I have Y, A, B class, C class, and D class. So 4 mother classes, 1 child class called Y. Are you getting my point? So that is for your assignment. So I already explained you in different concept, but still this is for your assignment purpose. Any questions?
No.
Am I going fast?
No.
So the same thing. Super. So the method you are calling from the subclass is calling the superclass method. So M1 is called by your subclass by using a super function statement. Now, when you're going forward, when you're calling your numpy or when you're calling your pandas, when you're calling your regression, those are nothing but packages. We discussed about packages long back. So import a package name. So you're calling in the same fashion. So date time. I just used one package which is available in my system. So I use date time. So the functionality is the coming from which is available for everyone. Date time is not my what created one. It's like available in your system also. Some packages are open to use. So right now, when you use print option, the system is going to be show few things. One is a class. Within the class, there is a method or a constructor. Within the method, again, there will be sub methods. So you can see here, date time dot now. So now is going to be tell you the time with seconds. And so this date time is nothing but a class. What I want to say, and this class has some methods. So the second date time what you are entering here is nothing but a method or a constructor. Within this method, you are going to use a sub method called now. So nothing but another method. So you are trying to perform now with the prefix of your method. This method is a part of one class called date and time. So going forward, when you are typing your pandas or a numpy or some skyfi, skitlearn, you have to prefix with your class name dot the method name, method maybe 1 or 2 levels, method name dot method name or only class dot method name. So it's up to you which class you are going to use it. Any questions? These are for your reading purpose, not required for normal requirements. When you're going to work with web methods, then you may require hash and other things. So I'm just skipping this one just for reading purpose. So what are the things we completed so far in the sense? Encapsulation we discussed. Encapsulation is nothing but data and methods together. So when you come to data, we discuss about static variable and non-static variable. When I come into methods, we discuss about general methods and constructors. When you come to constructors, there are two types we discussed: default constructor and parameter constructor. Along with the constructors, we also discussed about destructors. Nothing but garbage collector and how to write a destructor program by using a reference count. We discussed. Then we discussed about abstractions. Abstractions are nothing but hiding a data and methods. Then we also discussed about inheritance and polymorphism. Till this is one level in our object-oriented programming. Now, if I'm coming back to your Python, there is one more concept called multi-threading. So I don't think so whether Java has it or not. Generally, what is happening means what Amini do generally is, I want to take her example only. When I'm taking one topic, she also refers to some other URLs or YouTubes. with the different topics. So she's not depending on me. She's also learning from different sources. So that is called multi-threading. So if one program is got stuck or getting an error, I'm not stopping that one. I'm also continuing. Parallelly, I'm doing some other method which is also available in the class will be executed. So here in my current example, class X, I have two methods, M1 and method and M2 method. What is my expectation is after executing M1 method, I need to execute M2 method. If there is an issue with M1, I don't want to stop my execution. Continue with M2. Whenever the error got fixed for M1, continue with your M1. Are you getting my point?
Yes, Amma.
So there is no breakage, and the time is going to be, the performance wise also, this is going to be very good when you're writing a big logic. So this one we'll discuss tomorrow morning. Any questions so far?